Hey guys, Motorcarnut here, and today we're diagnosing a 2012 to 2018 Chevy Sonic, which this one is, or Chevy Cruze with a 1.8 non-turbo Ecotec engine. All right, customer came in, has a rough idle, so we're going to check it out, and hopefully the video can help you guys out if you have the same engine. If it looks like this. All right, so what we're going to do right now, we're going to get in the car. All right. This vehicle happens to be a 2013, but like I said, the engine's all the way up to 18 is the same. We got to check engine light on, of course. It feels okay. They say when it warms up, she's shaking a little bit. And I can really, I can actually feel a little bit. So I'm going to hook up the scan tool, see what we got. So I just hooked it up, and so it's got one code, because I think they said they cleared it, came back. It's a 171. This is a fuel trim lean. So let me, let's check out the live data on the engine. Now, you know what? GM lets you do. Let's check the fuel trims. It gives you so many options, the GM cars. All right. Okay. Right now I can see. You see where it says fuel trim? That's at 40. That's not supposed to be at 40. It's supposed to be hovering around 0, minus, then come positive a little bit, minus a little bit, back and forth. It's pegged. So that's telling me it's even though it's saying the code is a lean mixture, what's happening is the computer is adding more fuel because it thinks it's a lean mixture, and it's actually a rich mixture. All right? See that? Let me check that. And let's just concentrate on that. All right, now I rev it. Let me rev it. See, I'm revving it and it's coming down. See, now it's going negative, positive, negative. Negative, 0. It's supposed to pretty much stay at 0. The long term, forget about that right now. That's supposed to be, well, we're looking at the short term right now. The long term shouldn't be more than 10. Give or take. See how it's, okay, so what that's telling me, so as I'm revving it, right, it's going negative by what it's supposed to. So why is it doing that? It's doing that because now I'm giving it more air for that rich mixture that it created, and then it's taking over. It's doing what it's supposed to do. Now I let it back down to idle, and now the computer's pumping more fuel because there is a vacuum leak. That's see, it went pegged out to 40 again. Okay, now let's say if that would have stayed the same, then that could be an O2 issue, a shorted O2. But usually you get a code for that, but sometimes you don't. So we're going to have to check for vacuum leaks. I'm going to go back into the engine bay with the car running. Now, I don't know if you can see. All right. As you can see my hands, it's shaking. So what you can do, if there's a vacuum leak, there's going to be a vacuum leak from the intake. All right. Or anywhere where there could be a vacuum leak from the manifold, intake tube to the manifold, anything that sucks in air. Now, fast way you can check it is usually around the valve cover. You can spray some carburetor cleaner, but be careful of the exhaust. This, you usually get, or, well, they're all flammable, so you've got to be very careful. Don't do it near the exhaust. Do it in a well open area, and around in the back you can, near the injectors where they go into the head, the intake manifold where it goes into the cylinder head, you can spray it. And listen to see if you hear it smooth out or rev up. Then you know you found your vacuum leak. You could do the same thing on the intake tube that goes into the throttle body. You can spray around there. All right, we did that and it didn't change nothing. So another thing you can do is, you got a dipstick, pull it out. Oh, see, here we go. Here we go. Madonna. Okay. We got a major, that suction, you hear that suction? No, whoa, no way it's supposed to, and it stalled it. What happens when you take the oil tube, the dipstick out, or take off the oil fill cap, all right, there should be a neutral pressure in there. It should be like, if you put a vacuum gauge on it, it should be close to 0. It should be neutral. So that's telling me that there's a problem probably with the crankcase ventilation, the PCV. Yeah, I'm going to start with that. Now, the PCV on this vehicle, I believe this one is integrated into the cover. So what we're going to do right now, I'm going to do a little bit of a smoke test. All right, you don't have a smoke machine like I said you do with the carburetor cleaner, but you got to be careful. You don't want to flare nothing up. It's very dangerous. If you don't feel comfortable using flammable liquids, don't. I'm going to get the smoke machine out. I'm going to take off this tube, and we're going to smoke it and see if we see any, easy vacuum leaks. Got a little smoke machine hooked up. I put a little bladder in here, and it's like a balloon, and it seals up the intake over here. I pumped it up. All right, now I'm just going to turn it on, which we do is it's battery operated. All right. We wait for the smoke to come out. Okay, see that? And now I'm going to put it in here. Okay, just make sure it's not leaking over there. And we'll just wait a little bit. Already I see. Maybe that's not, I don't know, let me see. No, she's leaking from here. All right. Looks like it's leaking from the, let me see. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Where are we leaking? Oh boy, that's the PCV right there. You see that? Major leak. Oh, let me shut it off. And what we're gonna do now, I'm gonna take the bladder out again. Let me show you. Okay. Let this smoke come out a little bit. I'm going to hook it up. I'm going to start the vehicle and see if there's suction in there. I bet there is. All right, I'm going to take the machine away and I'll be right back. I just started it up. Oh yeah, you hear? Okay. Let's just check it. All right, you see the 40 over there? Hold on, let me just stand. Now, I'm gonna cover the hole, see what happens. See how it's coming down a little? It's already to 30, it's probably leaking, well, it's not probably, it is leaking inside. Look at that. We're into 28. Of course, it has to go all the way down. Probably the diaphragm inside the positive crankcase ventilation valve is bad. So now if I let go, my thumb, it pegs right back out at 40. All right, so that valve cover has to be replaced because it's integrated inside. So what we're going to do, and it doesn't seem that hard. You have your, what is this? Looks like 8mm. Around here, we're going to take these off the coils. And you don't have to touch anything with the timing cover, so that's good. And yeah, that's the problem with that. And another thing, on other vehicles, when the PCV valve goes bad, you'll hear a whistle like that, and it could be so bad that it blows blue smoke out the back. You think that you're burning oil, you blew a head gasket or something like that, and it's just this valve is worn and it's sucking in all the oil. Instead of the fumes to get reburned, it's sucking in oil into the intake that goes into the combustion chamber, and it's burning oil, and that's when you get that blue smoke out the back. All right, that's when I mean, this is bad. Maybe if you drive this car, it's going to do that. All right, so now we're going to take the next step. Because it's not supposed to have that much vacuum. You hear that? No good, no good. All right. And this could give you O2 codes too as well. You may have a lean mixture, and then it's giving you O2 codes. Now, the O2 code, it's just a computer. It only does what it's programmed to do. It sees a lean mixture or a rich mixture, and then the computer's okay. We got a lean mixture, thinking that it's just regular lean from normal combustion. It adds fuel, but in the meantime, it doesn't know there's a vacuum leak. All right, now the O2 sensors can't keep up. They can't change the fuel and air mixture because it's pegged out. Now the computer may go, okay, the O2 sensor is not working because it's not doing its job. And in the meantime, it could be something as simple as a vacuum leak, even more simple than that. If you don't replace the air filter element, it could be starving for air, and that can give you the same effect pretty much. All right, it's going to be lean, and then it's going to add more fuel, and you're going to have the same problem. But we know what this one is. Oh, good. All right, so we're going to remove the valve cover to replace it. Here's an aftermarket one. The customer brought this one with him. He paid like $50 for it online. This one came with the cap. All right. Came with the gasket already installed. And here's the PCV valve that's incorporated into the valve cover. Some people can replace this. You would have to heat it up and whatever and replace it. But I think the valve itself is like $40. The whole cover is $50. So, I mean, I always go OEM or, a used one or a good quality aftermarket. But this is an option for you guys on a budget. All right, we're going to install this one. All right. And see, this is where the PCV plugs in. All right, so to take it off, it's kind of simple. You just take this, put your finger in here, pop this off. All right, we're going to take the coil packs out. Okay. And the wiring, these are, it's called the E10. It's like a star, or you can use an 8mm. Just be careful, use it by hand, make sure you don't strip them. But the proper tool is an E10. It's an inverted Torx. I'll show you what that looks like. And this is what it looks like. Okay. And it says E10. Or you can use an 8mm 6-point socket. All right, like I said, just don't use it with an impact. And they're not really that tight. They should all come off if you don't have this special socket. Okay, now over here, the coil pack, we have a T40 Torx. A T40. All right, that goes in here. So what I'm going to do right now is, you see this, the harness over here, this just pops up. You see that? If you look on here on the cover itself, you see it slides into these things, here, here, and here. Same thing with the front, over here, and here. This right here, they just pop up. Like that. Okay, take the cap off, move this out of the way, take this plug off, take the coil packs out, all right, undo all the bolts, okay, and move this out of the way like that, just enough so you can take the cover off. You don't have to mess around with anything over here on the timing side. And we're going to disconnect the hose that goes to the PCV right here. All right, we're going to disconnect that hose. I'm going to do that now and then come back. And once you get the screws out over here, what you're going to do is get something, especially if this was the first time you're taking it off, and pry it. Don't crack it. Just pry it. Put pressure until it comes out, and go over here, the same thing. And at the end, you know, you pry it up slow. Let it come out of its seals. So you don't break nothing, you don't crack nothing. You crack this, you have to replace it, okay? So that's what I'm doing now. All right, and it just comes right out nice. And it's a good time to check in there. Make sure there's a little bit of oil in there. Because if there's too much oil in there, it's going to cause a misfire. All right, you can clean it out with a rag. Don't take the plugs out and clean it, or debris can go inside the engine. Try to do it like that with a thin screwdriver and maybe a little carburetor cleaner on a rag, and just stick it in there and clean it up in there nice, because you want them really dry. Okay, and then there's another bolt here you got to take off. All right, and see, basically this whole thing moves out of the way. All right, and we can get to this right here. You see over here has like a little it's like on the coolant lines, has like a little clip. All right, it looks like a little, they call it a staple. You put the screwdriver in there, you pop it out, so it relieves the prongs that go into here. I'll take it out and I'll show you. All right, so right in here, you see this little clip? All right. All right, let me open it up a little bit better. And here it is right here. Come on. Okay. And just open it up like this. All right, we don't want to lose it like that. All right, it just basically opens up and sits on the seat, and then this just comes right off. See that? It comes right off. I'm just going to get my magnet and get it back down there, and we got to put it back on the connector so we don't lose it. All right, here's that clip. All right, I'm going to put it on when I take the valve cover off, because on this one, right now, it seems like it doesn't want to come off because the fuel rail's in the way. So when we put the new cover on, we got to make sure we put the hose for the PCV on first before we put it down. Okay, and then we get the valve cover off. Now, I didn't unhook any wires. So what you do is you put it back, you gotta, play with it a little bit to get it back in. I mean, there's no silicone sealer, so you don't have to worry about smearing anything around. And what I did over here, there's a little fastener. I just released that so I can just wiggle it around. And I pretty much got it out, no problem. You get the new one in, it'll be the same way. I mean, if you want to take off, some of the connectings over here to move this out of the way. But, you really don't have to do it. And when you put the new one in, make sure you put it in the PCV connection right here before you put it all the way down, because for some reason it was hitting the rail over here and it wasn't coming out. And that clip that I was talking about before, it goes right in here. All right, you believe it? I just dropped it again. All right, you don't want to do that. I'll get it. Anyway, and you put it in and you click it all the way, and I'll show you how to do that. This way, when you push it in, it just snaps in and you're done. All right, I got it again. So basically, when you take it out, that's what it's supposed to look like. It's supposed to stay there. It's not supposed to come all the way out. It's supposed to stay like that. So in here, in the diameter there, there's nothing to interfere. But when you put it back on, you just push this all the way in like this. All right, make sure it's seated. All right, so now when it clips in, you see these two little parts over there are going to spring into action and lock it in. So you just click it in and you'll be good to go. And another thing is to clean this all up. Make sure it's nice and clean all the way around. Even the spark plug holes over here, all clean. No debris there, because that can cause vacuum leaks. So you want to make sure that's all clean. And it's a good idea if this is, if it's your car, obviously, you want to do the spark plugs. Now is a good time to do them if you haven't done them. And you see this car, the oil was maintained. You see how it looks? No sludge or nothing like that. Owner cap on top on this one. Okay, so I just put it on. And what you want to do, you want to torque the bolts, okay? And make sure, like when you put it on the gasket, you can get a mirror. Make sure the gasket's still there, it didn't move in or whatever, but it's pretty much, it stays in place. And the book said that the center bolt's supposed to have some kind of a sealant, but I don't get it because on the old one, all right, it's right there. There's a gasket around that one, just like the other two. So it doesn't make any sense to me. You want to do that, you can do it. And you're going to torque them. First, you're going to torque the center one, then the one over here, and then the one over here, and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. You just want to cross pad it like you're doing a head gasket. And you put them, it says 71, so you could put it to 80 inch-pounds, not foot-pounds, inch-pounds, 80 inch-pounds. All right, so you tighten them all first by hand, and then you tighten the centers, and then you do 1, 2, and then you do your stop, your cross pattern. And you do it a couple times, make sure, because the gasket is rubber, it's going to seat and the bolts could become loose. And make sure it's about 80 inch-pounds, you'll be good. All right, and after that, I'm going to put new spark plugs. They wanted to put new spark plugs. I cleaned the holes out because don't forget, we were dealing with a vacuum leak and a lean condition in the beginning, and it turned out to be the PCV valve. But, anything can leak over here. So, this whole thing is under vacuum, even the cap. So you just got to make sure you do it nice and it's even, it's seated properly, and then we're going to continue. I'm going to put the spark plugs in, and then we're just going to put the ignition coil pack back on. You move it out of the way, you put it in there, you seat it nice, and you put your bolts in there. Torque those bolts to 80 inch-pounds too. All right, and we're going to continue after that. And then that's installed, and just make sure when you took it out, any of the wiring, you didn't pull it away from any of the sensors, you didn't pull anything, and just put everything back the way it was. Put the cap back on. All right. And now, just make sure everything is okay. We're going to start it up. We're going to hook up the scan tool and see what kind of numbers were coming up and see how the engine is going to be running. Okay, engine's running. Seems like it's better. Let's check out live data. Let's check out fuel trim. If we remember, it was at 40 peg. And here we go. Now, see, 0, a little bit minus, a little bit minus, 3. See, it's fluctuating. In the long term, it's staying near 0. Like I said, plus or minus 10 is maximum. But that's like, like after driving it for a couple of days, couple of weeks, it shouldn't be more than 10. So right now it's 0. See, now it's negative. And the O2s are going, okay, we're a little rich, a little lean. Let's adjust it. And look, adjusted it back down. It was 0. Now it's negative 4. That's how it's supposed to be, not pegged out. Okay? And basically, we got it fixed. This one's fixed. I'll take it for a test drive. I mean, it's probably much fixed. Now, you just got to make sure you have nothing leaking. And again, like I said, this whole valve cover is under vacuum, so you don't want to you're fixing another leak and you're fixing one leak and creating another one. So just take your time and do it, and you save yourself a hell of a lot of money. All right, guys, Motorcarnut, please subscribe, hit the like button. Any question pertaining to the video, leave them below. I answer all my questions, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.